housing, mental health, prison. I've done it all, I've been through it. From the age of 38 to the age of 40, I was on it, drinking wise. Everything I've loved in life, I've lost. Do you realise that? Life begins at 40. Well, I was trying to end my life, and I nearly got life. Everybody's going to get tested in jail, one way or another. I didn't care if you're in there for a day or 10 years, you're getting tested. Now I've got this taste of recovery, and it's given something to believe in. And the only reason why I'm still here now is because of my recovery. I thought I was a coward because I felt fear. Courage comes in spite of fear.
All rolling?
Yeah.
Right, well, Steve,
Yes.
thank you for coming, appreciate it. We always like to start these things, our focus is very much on hope. So I always like to start kind of at the beginning, at your childhood, where you were born, you know, your informative years at school, and I think at some point in your life it went wrong, so we'll explore that later. But basically, just a little bit about your background.
I was originally born in Gateshead. Left Gateshead, I was about 5-year-old. We moved to Petley. My dad was a landscape gardener. The reason why I thought we'd move was because there was more access to work, which made sense. That wasn't the real reason, it turns out. My mum, she's again always worked, barmaid, factories, stuff like that. So I've always been around graft, you know what I mean? Always.
Have you got siblings?
No, I've got no.
Only child?
Only child,
Right.
aye. So, as it turns out, the reason why we left Gateshead was when I was very young, there was an incident, a violent incident, which I've to this day still got no memory of, but it was the beginning, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And also our house got broke into around about the same time, so my parents were like, this is no good, we've got to get away from this place. And originally they always told me we'd moved there for my dad's work, which was partly true, but it wasn't the whole truth, you know. I'll come to find this out later on. So yeah, my childhood, you know, I was an only child. I never working class, not rich, but I never wanted for anything. I was loved. My dad liked to drink. My mum couldn't drink, you know, which turns out to be kind of profound because I'm a recovering alcoholic now.
Right.
And so my childhood was fine.
School? How did you get out of school?
School, I would say I was average. I was good physical stuff, you know. My dad, I was grafting from the age of 13 with my dad, so physical stuff, not a problem. Academic, not so much. But my life did take a turn at the age of 13 when my parents got divorced. Like, that was very, very, again, fairly brutal, like, because I witnessed me dad beat my mum.
Right, so there's domestic violence.
There was domestic violence, that had a massive impact.
Was there a lot of that as you were growing up?
No, that only really happened, like I say, from the age of 13 when they're going through the process of divorce.
Stages.
Yes, and that was because my dad liked to drink as well, you see, and so I witnessed that, and that left a very big mark with us, like. And that's why I had to, at a very young age, start working, because the only way I get to see my father on a weekend is if I went grafting with him.
Right.
So what I've later found out is when kids of 13 are out carrying on, playing out, I'm around blokes, 30, 40, 50-year-olds making money at 13-year-olds, you know what I mean? So on the one hand, he taught us a good work ethic, but it also left a gap in me development, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it all sort of makes sense now, because I've always been considered a serious person, do you know what I mean? Like, somebody puts your hands on you, that's it. There's no carrying on and out like that. It's you're on.
It's
blokes did it fanny on like that, if you, do you know what I mean? And so, like, to this day, I remember even when I was inside watching blokes just round the pool table having a daft, I was like, you can't touch me like that, like, you can't, I understand it now, I couldn't then, do you know what I mean? It was all got explained on my recovery journey, like. But yeah, so the domestic, just going back a little bit onto the domestic violence, and you said it had a marked impact. Was that at 13? Yeah, well, was it your choice to stay with your mum, or? So the trauma that happened when I was in Gateshead, I've got no memory of. Right. So that's sort of like on the back burner and are simmering away. Because I always thought when I've done my recovery journey, I would always start at 13 because I witnessed my dad beating my mum. Right. And what happened was I froze, and for years I saw myself as a coward because I couldn't stop him. I'm a 13-year-old, he's a bloke, do you know what I mean? That's what I told myself all my life, that I couldn't even protect my own fucking mother, do you know what I mean? So that started to form this self-image I have of myself. Yeah. And funny enough, sitting with the lads, we've just been talking about our own journeys and stories and that. But what I've come to realise is now, as a bairn, I couldn't process that.
No.
Because a bairn's brain cannot process adult issues.
Yeah.
So what happens is my personality then takes over. And the easiest thing for me to think of, well, it must be my fault. If I couldn't stop that and I can't work this out, I'm stupid, I'm a coward, I'm this. And so that started to form a self-image I had of myself.
Right.
And then if you tie into the fact that the trauma experience at a very young age, which basically meant I had PTSD from the age of 4, which I didn't even know. Yeah. You're starting to get the fuel for the fire, what's going to be coming further down the road, you see. Yeah. But obviously, I didn't know that then. But it's
an unhealed wound.
Oh,
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, you say you know recollection. Have you since had any recollection?
Well, I've had treatments, PTSD. I'm waiting to get some more. I still can't remember that event.
Right.
And that's why it's so cunning and baffling and powerful, because whether it's you fast forward to me index offence that took us to prison, which was attempted murder.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah. So that at the age of 40, I've got no memory of. At the age of 4, I've got no memory of somebody hurting me badly. How? You kind of tell me them two's not connect, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And everything that's happened in between, you know.
Did you have, as a kid, were you rebellious? Did you have anger issues, or?
I think when I look back, the best way to describe it is even when people wanted to help us, I'd growl at them. It'd be like, you know, a dog, when you stick your hand out, it growls, because in my mind, I don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Seen as a threat?
100%. Yeah. Obviously, with PTSD, it's like everything's a threat till it's not.
Yeah.
Now, when I look back, it makes so much sense. But at the time, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of fear that I don't know how to process, because I don't even know why I'm having it in the first. That's how insidious it was, because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
You know, you can only carry stuff for so long, like.
Yeah. But it was probably only in later life that you got the kind of a better understanding of what was going on.
Well, the funny thing was, I always took everything seriously, and as life went on, you have relationships, you have kids, do you know what I mean? And like, I just didn't feel right inside. I always felt angry when I shouldn't and stuff like that. And then relationships will break down, I'll start drinking, I'll start taking drugs, and it sort of eases the pain a bit, do you know what I mean?
That brings us nicely on to, so you get to 30 and you start to grow a bit. When did the alcohol start?
Well, this is the interesting thing when I look back. I started off as a workaholic, because I couldn't deal with my emotions. When I should have been at home with my lass and the bairn, I was doing 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because when the bairn's mother would ask us if I was all right, I couldn't answer, because I didn't know how to. And that would frustrate us, so I would hide at work, which obviously now she feels neglected, so we end up splitting up. It can't be my fault, because I'm fucking perfect, you know what I mean? So like, at the age of like 25, I start getting on it. And then I miraculously learn that if I take drugs as well as drink, I can go on further, like. And that was a revelation. That was me aware. But then I had another relationship which sort of brought us back down to earth. Funny enough, that didn't work either. But it still wasn't my fault, it was her fault.
Same issues?
Yes. Yeah. So now I'm 30, and now I just thought, hey, fuck this, there's something wrong with these women. There really is, like. And so I just got on it. And so my 30s was just spent getting hammered. Like.
So before that, it was just sporadic drinking, was it?
It was, like work night outs and stuff like that. Social it was events. Mainly work. That was my addiction then. And sex and work was my two main things. And like, obviously when there was a work night out or a birthday, I'd gone out, but it never lasted, because I had work to go to, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was only really at work for the bairns and the mother. It wasn't for me. Yeah. That's part of the reason why I was so sick. Spent 15 years in manufacturing, pure brain damage, like a life sentence in the factories. I thought I was doing it for the right reasons, but I wasn't. And that's what led to this, again, fueled the fire about how I felt about myself. It was a hard one, because people would say, they could see I'm not right, but I would say I am. And so like, that was the greatest lie I ever told. But in my defense, I can't tell you what's wrong, because I don't fucking know. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it must have been really hard for them. Yeah. But like, when I look back now, I wasn't well. You know what I mean? I wasn't well.
This episode is brought to you by Curious Matter Productions, turning up the volume on society's forgotten voices. The series Hope in Hell is a platform for amplifying raw, real stories of survival, despair and triumph, told through open, honest and powerful conversations, because no matter what life throws at you, there's always hope.
So when you got into the alcohol, were you a functioning alcoholic,
Yes.
or were you
I was brought up that way. Like
Right.
you didn't miss graft for the drink.
Right.
You didn't like. That's what my father done. My father was basically a functional alcoholic, and he grafted. So that's what I did. You know what I mean?
So on a scale of, on a average day, what sort of consumption was
Got
it?
to the point where I was doing 24 cans of Foster's, and then that wasn't
A day?
enough a day, and then I was hitting the vodka because I was sick of pissing myself. So I thought, if I drink spirits, it's more efficient. It's a way of like manufacturing way. That's the most efficient.
It is.
I'm sick of right, so I'll get on the vodka, and I just started getting a taste for it. And then, funny enough, when I got locked up, my friend died of consumption of vodka as well. So it's kind of poignant, like. But I was just about to cross over. And that's when I hit me rock bottom, do you know what I mean?
Right. When you say rock bottom?
So my 30s was a mixture of drinking drugs.
Right. What drugs can I ask?
Cocaine, uppers, opioids. I didn't like that. I like to be up. I like to be switched on. I like to be on. You couldn't touch us when I was, I'd see you coming a mile away. Like it was that bulletproof feeling, do you know what I mean? And so by the time I got to 38, though, there was a change in the benefit system. And so I had less money, basically. I'm covering my arm back here. I had less money, and so I could only afford the drink. So I managed to drop the drugs, no problem. Right. But the drink filled the gap. So from the age of 38 to the age of 40, I was on it, drinking-wise. Within 2 years, I just drink. At the age of 40, I've hit my rock bottom.
So with the drinking, what feeling did you get from that drink?
It was to quiet this. It was to numb the pain.
So, yeah.
That's what it was. They call it self-medicating.
Yes.
And if that's the case, I was overdosing every fucking day, basically. And that's the truth of the matter. So yeah.
So you hit 40. Mm-hmm. You said you hit rock bottom.
So we go July 2015. I turned 40 in May of 2015. And they say most life begins at 40. Well, I was trying to end my life, and I nearly got life. So that just goes to show where I was at. It got to the point where I couldn't live and I couldn't die, so I thought, fuck it, I'll get on it. And I'll drink myself to death. Because there had been suicide attempts and it hadn't worked. And even I turned that against myself. I thought, I can't even fucking top myself here, man. You're fucking useless, yeah. So I thought, I'm going to drink myself to death. And this bender started pretty much in the May of 2015 because I was 40. You fast forward to July. Now it's my son's 18th, who I haven't seen since he was 13. That's fueled us again. This was, say, the Thursday. On the Saturday of that same week, I've had my 24 cans. I've had a couple of other drinks. It wasn't enough. I've gone to a boozer, local boozer just near mine. There was an altercation with somebody. I've left, come back with a knife. And basically, that turned into attempted murder, for which I was sentenced to I got 20 down to 15. Straight sentence, so I do half. And so that took me to, that was July 2015, when I pulled up outside Durham doors in the back of a paddy wagon. Rock bottom, smashed on every level, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And my first thought was, there was two. First, I was going to be shitting in a bucket. And then I thought, I'll just top myself. I'm just going to get a sheet, tie it around my neck, and I'll jump off that fucking balcony. Because I'd been in once before for ecstasy, but it was only a daft TV license job. I only got 6 months. So I had a little taste of it, so I sort of knew what to expect. But in my mind, I didn't realise Durham had been modernised. And so, anyway, but that's when the tale turns, you see, because that was my last drink. That's coming up 10 years next month.
Right.
And so that was 10 years ago when I pulled up in that paddy wagon, broken. When I've gone on to, F-wing was the induction wing then.
Yeah.
And there was a civvy, I'll never forget. She come up to us and she said, "Do you want help?" Now, all my life, this has been noisy. Been like a fucking washing machine. Bang, 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 fast, boom, boom, boom. The best way I could describe it at the time was after committing my index offence, it was like being underwater. You know, when you can hear shit, but it sounds like miles away. I was very numb, comfortably numb, sort of, in a way, disturbingly numb. But yet this civvy lady, she said was, because I remember I'm sat with a PIDS worker, he's filling all the chickies out for us because I'm gone, do you know what I mean?
I started the PID workers in Durham, I did.
The PID worker, she says, "What's your name?" I tell me, she says, "I've just been on the news." I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." And then a civvy come my way and she says, "Do you want help?" And so like I was saying, from nowhere, there was just this voice, and it was so quiet, but yet so loud, it was just like a bop. But it was so, I said, "See, yes." I thought somebody was behind us. Do you know what I mean? And I just said yes. Didn't realise what I was saying yes to, didn't have a clue. thought out of it. I mean, this is how gone I was. I used to smoke. I forgot I smoked. That's how gone I was. So when I've gone in, I didn't smoke, blah, blah, blah. And these smokers packing out like that. They put us in a pad with somebody who doesn't smoke. A couple of days later, I'm like, I haven't had a smoke here. Oh, holy shit. And then so the lady comes back and she starts talking about the types of help there is, mutual aid, groups, meetings, stuff like that. And this is all new to me, do you know what I mean? I thought fucking EA was the people who fix your car by the side of the road. That was, in my head, EA. And she told us about the meeting, and I went. And that was the start when I went to my first meeting. That was like the domino coming up 10 years ago.
Are you spiritual?
I didn't believe in anything. Now I do. That's the difference. That's the difference. The biggest difference. Now I have a belief system in place that it's what got me through my jail. Like, jail's fucking brutal. Like, I didn't care what anybody says. Anybody says jail's not hard, they're full of shit. Like,
tell lies.
You were gonna get tested. I didn't care from the biggest gangster to the skinniest lad rattling his back off. Everybody's gonna get tested in jail, one way or another. I didn't care if you're in there for a day or 10 years. You're getting tested, and if you've got out to help you deal with that, if you're lucky to survive it, you're going to come out worst at the very best.
So it was a stroke of luck that woman came across you then?
100, why, it was divine intervention as far as
that's what I say, he's spiritual.
As far as I'm concerned. See, that's how I see it now. Back then I would have said it was a concept. See, even the frame of mind I was in, I used to say a shock. I don't think it was shock. I would say it was serenity. Because like, my rock bottom was the beginning of the storm, you know, like a tornado. Then the feeling afterwards was like the eye of the storm. Now I've only got so long here because the rest of the storm's coming back. And in that moment was when that lady asked me, do I want help? And that's all I needed.
Perfect.
Because after a couple of weeks, I'm walking around Durham for a couple of weeks, you could hit us out with a heat, man. I wouldn't have registered. That's how far gone I was. And they were trying to hit us with medication. I'm like, I didn't need it. I really didn't. Because of how I was feeling. Because I was trying to achieve that all my life, you know. And sure enough, that serenity passes and now the reality hits. Now you look and everybody's saying you're going to get a big and this, that and the other. I've got people offering us hooch and I'm like, oh God. So after my first couple of meetings, I started hearing about I-Wing. At the time it was a DRW, 12-step program. And I was like, right, get us on there. And I've got people saying, do you want to go on there? It's the God Squad, it's the Happy Clappers and I've got some hooch and it's not going to be long. And I'm like, oh yeah. Gets on the bell, officer comes, I said, get me somebody to talk to here. And I'll never forget, the bloke was called Colin, he was the manager at the time. He's come to my door. At the time, they didn't normally take remands, but they knew I was going to get a big one anyway. Like, and I says, you need to get me, I need this program, I need help. Like, if I stay on here, I'm knackered. And he listened and he got us over there. Like, I was still reminded how I met Ronnie Cook and Mr. Bell. And like, straight away, it just felt different. It was tiny, do you know what I mean? But even like, Ronnie Cook and Mr. Bell, they were like old school in the fact that like I learned very quickly that because I was trying to help myself, they were sound with us. You tap the piece, you're going to get it. It's one of them. I learned that very quickly, you know. And so that was the start of my journey, on I-Wing.
So that was successful then?
So that
Did you have any lapses?
I've never had a lapse.
Never had a lapse?
Never had a lapse, never had a relapse, and that's recovery. Do you know what I mean? If my recovery teaches me that if I do what's suggested, it won't happen.
Right.
So I do what's suggested, and it hasn't.
So you wouldn't have done your whole sentence at Durham, did you?
No. So that consisted of, so I get sentenced. I get my sentence. I'm due to go to Frankland, but I'm getting my recovery.
That's what the sentence was?
So it was originally, it makes you laugh, so the minimum for attempted murder is 15. But like in the beginning, they were banning like category 1s and that about 27 to 32, and I was like, pfft. And luckily, because there was no previous and stuff like that, and because I'd already made, an attempt to sort myself out, while I was remanded, I was on there, I got the minimum, which is 15. But they give us, because I went guilty, they gives me plea, he had to give us 20, they give us me 15. I was like, you just mack it up as he's gone along. So anyway, thank God I got a 15, and thank God it was a straight sentence because it was attempted murder. If it had been murdered, it would have, do you know what I mean? So like, I'll never forget, I get sentenced, your leg's gone, you feel it, but you stand tall, you know what I mean? And the group 4 bloke's tapping us back and he's looking at me chitty, and I've gone from like six months for ecstasy to 15 for alcohol. So I'm one, I'll cuddle you to death, and the fuck I'll stab you to death. Basically, that's what it amounts to. But I've got to be careful because I still justify the ecstasy because the consequences weren't, but you've got to be careful, do you know what I mean? So that was my example. I've literally that was when I was 25, and when you look back, you can see it escalating, man. And then you've got the judge saying, well, it's a shame you didn't notice this earlier, Mr. Robinson. Well, hindsight's a beautiful thing. But when you're an alcoholic and you didn't know it, you've got to be in it before you know, and then it's too late, man.
Aye.
And then you end up in jail. Do you know what I mean? And like, this is why I find it so conflicting, man, because I've been shown great kindness in prison with the help I've received. But also I would describe it as prison was the place I got better. I got better in spite of prison because like I've got the prison's rules, I've got the con's rules, and now I'm trying to practice recovery, which all recovery is based on honesty. And that's what the cons will hear that and think, oh, he's a grass. When he's having a one-to-one, my one-to-ones would take hours because I'm trying to sort shit out. Somebody who's ticking a box to take 10 minutes, that's when you know, because the guy, I am all right, this, that, and the other, we kind of deal out with them. But I'm having the one-to-one, my dark work, and I'm trying to work out why I'm just trying to kill somebody. Then I come out, oh, he's been in there over an hour, he must be a grass. That set the tone.
Yeah.
Now you become the enemy, do you know what I mean? Now you need someone to believe in because it's so easy to be a sheep and go back into the fold. You know, people please and do whatever's necessary.
Yeah.
Fuck that. No, that's not happening. I've done that all my life. Now I've got this taste of recovery and it's given something to believe in. In the very beginning, they were asking us to consider having a higher power. And I pulled the manager, Colin, and I said, you asked me to take all this stuff on, man. I says, everything I've loved in life, I've lost. Do you realise that? Now you want me to invest in this, what's what, lose it? He says, Stephen, he says, you can only give it away. I was like, you what? He says, this cannot be taken away from you. He says, you can only give it away. I was like, I'll have some of that. Boom, that was it.
Aye.
I've got goosebumps now, man.
Showed great power, that mind.
Well, I didn't even know I had that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had that. But you see, my rock bottom was so profound. See, I can't stand bullies and violence. Yeah, that's what I became. And like, they call it the gift of desperation. I never want to hurt anybody again like I did. And so when I'm in my year meetings and people's coming in with 40 years sober, and they're like, I'm like, how do you do that, man? 40 years. And they're like, wait, first of all, you take it in the day. World record for being sober is only 24 hours. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so you keep it in the day. And then I realised, hold on, I can do my sentence like this. My sentence is only 1 day long. And on a good day, I could practice that, but you still have your bad days. Like, so whether it's your recovery or your jail, it's only 1 day long. Do you know what I mean? But how you get through that day, what do you do in those 24 hours? Are you 8 hours sleep, whatever, 12 hours if you're lazy bastard, do you know what I mean? What do you do for the rest of that time? Even within jail, it's all, see, it's like they try and break you, whether it's the prison rules or the cons rules. In my head, they're trying to break you. Yeah. So what do I need? I need like armour. Do you know what I mean? And I describe my recovery as armour because that's when I look back now, the tests I had, the violence, the challenges, the bullies from Durham to Franklin to Homehouse to Kirklev. I've been through that whole system and I've seen and experienced stuff like. And the only reason why I'm still here now, alive and sober, is because of my recovery. It's there, you've got to want it, and then you've got to take it, then you've got to protect it. Do you know what I mean?
There's the vision and reality, I see it. There's that. A lot of people like the vision, can't cope with the reality.
Well,
the hard bit.
That's the reality is the practice.
Yeah.
The trouble isn't education these days with the internet, it's application. And you'll have people come to meetings and we call it lip service. I'm going to do this, I'll never forget, I did jail with this bloke, right? And I always knew when he thought somebody was full of shit because the kid will be there giving it the big end. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he's going, but are you? Or have you? And I thought, you know what? Now I apply that to myself. So if I say to you, when I finish here, I'm going into the gym. I'm going into the gym because I imagine bumping into you. Not that you would because you'll forget and say, Stephen, did you go into the gym? And that's how I do it. Do you know, it's just a little coping mechanism, whether it's a gym, a group, or something positive. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You find these coping mechanisms as long as it's healthy and productive, and if it's keeping you sober, you know.
Aye.
That's what it's about.
So you've done your sentence, done the rounds, ended up at Kirklev, Cat D, got released from Cat D.
Yes.
How did life go from there?
My first 24 hours out was worse than my first 24 hours in.
Really?
Now bearing in mind I was broken on my first, when I pulled up at those doors. The reason why, bearing in mind I'm at Kirklev, I've got home leaves. I kind of go back the way I'm from because of my offence, so my home leaves are done at Pennywell House.
Right.
And so I know what I'm getting out to, but I'm getting out to nothing. Now I'm homeless. When like,
you're going into a hostel?
Even though but that's only 3 months, you see, because I'm high risk to the public. I've got to do a 3-month lie down, ticky box job. But after that, I'm homeless.
Right.
I've left jail with a couple of bags, few £100. And so my first 24 hours out, I was violently sick. I was spewing up a lot. Now I'm panicking, thinking they're going to think I've relapsed here. But I hadn't. It was just my reaction to getting out. That passed.
Were you nervous? Were you nervous coming up to your release?
I got down to my last 6 months and my anxiety started going through the roof.
Yeah.
That's when I started to engage, was why I'm so grateful to Rethink. So basically, right, my jail consisted of engaging with DART pretty much all the way through, whichever shape or form that took, CGL, humankind, way through, it didn't matter. My DART work was always there for us. You get down to the last, I think it's 3 months, and you can get what's called a care navigator through Rethink. And these people set things up to put appointments in place and stuff, which took a lot of pressure off me, but that was barely scratching the surface. So by the time I get out, because I know at the end of 3 months, I've got nowhere to go, that's me knackered. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But then I found out because I'm high risk, I've got to do certain things, I start learning stuff. But the beauty of it was I had my care navigator there. So once a week she'd come and see us and we'd just have a chat sometimes, and that's all it needed. But she'd be putting stuff in place, and that's what I needed, do you know what I mean? I've got my side of the street, I can only do so much. Mm-hmm. And it's like, they've got the keys still, if you know what I mean, to the system. Yeah. So I might be lived experience, but the professionals have still got the keys, you know what I mean? That's why I think it's a good combination. It's the best of both worlds out here. And in there, like, to be honest. But so I was attending my year meetings and stuff like that. And the duty of care, though, was County Durham. I want to stay in Sunderland. I like Sunderland, you know what I mean? I spent a lot of time in Sunderland, usually on the piss, like, but, I've sort of got fond memories. I was still innocent then. Me drinking was just then to try and fit in with everybody else. Yeah. It was before it became chronic. So I sort of had fond memories of Sunderland. But the duty of care said County Durham. And so, bless her, my care navigator, she's like, oh, come through to the Reconnect Hub, the old visitor centre for Durham, Nick. And I'm like, look, man, it's right next door to jail. I'm just getting out. I didn't want to go anywhere near the place. And she's like, all right. But she put the seed in because she knew I attended the year meetings. And so I knew I had to bite the bullet and I had to play the game to get the help. Although my recovery wasn't a game, like. And so I've went to go to my first year meeting in the Reconnect Hub on a Tuesday. And I've met Olivia and I've walked through the door and the bloke sat behind the reception was a bloke called Paul Clark. A facilitator I met 10 years ago on I-Wing, and I instantly knew I was going to be all right here. I could not believe I saw that bloke because he took over from Colin when I left I-Wing, went to Franklin, and then they ended up shutting I-Wing, and then Paul had took over in the interim. Yeah. And I just knew between like my care navigator, him, and my year meeting.
You're sound.
And then I've walked out the back, and Kev, who you're going to speak to, Kev I met, lived experience in Kirklev. He was there, and I was like, power, right? I'm laughing here.
My people.
And that set the tone for us because I had to make the move from Sunderland to County Durham, you see. Right. So that was putting our like groundwork.
So where did the house you in Durham? Was it a...
So it's like everything else. So I left approved premises.
Right.
And thank God for the support I had. The day in question was a Friday. Paul said, sign out, bring your bags, come to the hub. Didn't go and wander in the streets, come here. And because I'd already been going there, I was comfortable. So it's the Friday, I go, Olivia, care navigator's there, Paul's there. I'm ringing the council, right? I've officially been released from there now. What's happening with my housing? We're looking into it. Bearing in mind they've had 3 months. Then this is coming in, but it's the same for everybody. Gets to dinner time, they stopped answering my phone. Right. Olivia starts ringing, they start answering the phone to her. Right. Gets to 4 o'clock, still no joy. I can see Olivia getting stressed. I don't like that. I said, look, I've got a big coin on us. I'll get a hotel for however long that lasts. Paul Clark, he's on the phone. His contact's trying to find us somewhere. I was blown away with how much. 4:30, they're like, right, we've got you. Oh, that was it. This is you know your exclusion zone? I says, aye. He says, Pete Lee. I says, aye. He says, does it include Shotton? Now I knew there's a shithole of a hostel in Shotton. And I was like, yes, it does. And I had to lie. So what happened was, luckily for me, probation was off, because if they'd checked, I would have been knackered. But if they'd put me in there, I would have gotten recalled, because it's just a bad situation. Probation was off. They swallowed that. They said, right, we'll send it to a travel lodge in Boburn. They always had that option. Do you know what I mean? And then now they're saying, you've got to get this bus, that bus. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Olivia was like, I'm taking you. I was like, wow. She could have finished at 4 o'clock. She was still there 1:30. Her and Paul are still trying to help. She took me in her motor to that hotel. I could not, to this day, I'll never forget that. Because I was goosed, I was knackered. And so to this day, when cons come in from the hope, I'll take them to the train station, I'll take them to the bus station, because I know what it's like.
Yeah,
I know what it's like. And that's just one example of many, whether it's been Dart behind the door or Rethink. I mean, Rethink's been part of my life for 2 years now. I'm volunteering.
Just coming on to that, so you're out of prison, you're getting sorted, you're looked after, you've got the right support network around you, things are looking great. Yeah. How did you end up where you are?
So my journey, I was always been a service user first, whether it was Dart in prison or a service user with Rethink. And so that set the tone. So with Rethink, once you'd been a service user for 6 months, you could apply to be a volunteer. I'd sort of definitely covered that in jail with Dart, do you know what I mean, or now Way Through. So I did the ambassador program with Way Through, which qualified as the volunteer. After 6 months, considered a lived experience peer mentor with Rethink, and I do those in the Reconnect hub. I'm only allowed to do 16 hours because it's unpaid volunteer work. Yeah. So I split that time. I also volunteer for Step Into Recovery as well, their lived experience. Yeah. So there's 3 companies I volunteer for under 16 hours a week. Because the thing was, whether it was Dart or Rethink, I couldn't choose. Feels like I'm having a fucking affair sometimes, I swear to God, because I kind of choose.
Just for the viewers, what's the difference between
the two?
So
I was very torn. So Dart, you're drug and alcohol worker, you're talking about your addiction. Yep. Which, in my case, started off in prison. And if I still needed it, I could have followed it on outside, but my recovery was secure. Rethink, they deal with mental health and signposting.
Right.
So like I was saying, you get down to your last 12 weeks, you can have a care navigator and start putting things in place for you. Places like Kirklev, it's doable. It's hard in places like Durham because it's a remands. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, but either way, those 2 services is what got me to where.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I definitely recommend using them all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whether it's Paul Clark, my supervisor for the Way Through, met in Durham 10 years ago. Emma Beard, my supervisor for Rethink, who was my gaffer in Kirklev when I was a mental health mentor. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's, to me...
Do you find that, like, obviously you're helping people now who are suffering probably a little bit similar to what you've gone through, you know, attempted murder, but do you think helping people heals you as well?
My recovery says to keep it, I've got to give it away. And in the beginning, I'm giving out away.
Do you mind if I steal that? Because I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
No, it's true. It's part of what we get taught. To keep it, you've got to give it away. And you're like, I'm not giving this away. But the truth of the matter is, for me to stay sober, I've got to share my experience. Yeah. Like, I facilitate smart meetings. I've just done a smart meeting before that, and just sat in any mutual aid group. It doesn't matter what label it comes under, because ultimately it's all about talk and therapy. Yep. You cannot get the help you need until you're comfortable to talk. And what about if you don't know how to do that? Yeah. This is the question. This is what recovery does. It teaches you because I'm a strong believer leading by example. Everything I'm telling you I've done, everything I suggest I've done. Housing, mental health, prison, I've done it all. I've been through it. You know what I mean? And I know what people's going to be going through. So I can say, right, this is what's coming. This is what you can expect. But more importantly, this is what you do about it. Now you've got a choice. You can sit in your own shit and feel sorry for yourself and suffer, or you can reach out and ask for help. Right. And to be honest, in prison, that's what threw me about prison. I thought it was the end. I really did thought it was the end. When I pulled up outside those doors, suicide was the next best option, man. Because I didn't think you could get help in prison. Yeah. But you can. Yep. But most importantly, you've got to want it. Yep. You have to ask yourself why you want this. Because ultimately, when it gets hard, and it's going to get hard, it's going to come on top. The challenges you face in prison, and then the challenges you've got outside, it's coming, whatever way you look at it. Because you're going to get tested. But what happens is you get tested, and then you do what's suggested. Half the time, that's just talking about what's going on with you. It works, you feel better, you're not kicking off. And it's like, this shit works. And then it builds to the point where, like, now, I'm coming up 10 years sober. Ultimately, that's not important though, because all that's important is how I live today. But now my 10 years sobriety is something I protect. Just as I protect it, you know, and that'll never get taken from me. The only way it can get taken from me is if I give it away. And so it means something to me. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's all about keeping it in the day. Learning to face life on life's terms within any given day. And it's a daily practice. If I could get on it every day, I've got to practice every day. And that's what throws a lot of people. People think you can just come to a meeting, say a few words, walk out that door, and it's going to be all right. It's not.
No.
It's not going to be all right. Whatever you hear in a meeting, whatever suggests, because that's all it ever is, and that's all it could ever be. It's only probation who try and force it on you, but they've got to. But other than that, it's a suggestion. And this is the best saying I've come across to describe it is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's very true. That's very true.
Oh, well done. So, I ask everybody this question. If you could give the young you any advice, what would it be?
Don't be too hard on yourself. It's all right. It's all right to feel fear. More importantly, it's all right and it's the right thing to do to ask for help. Don't be too proud. Don't be too hard on yourself. Reach out, because I thought I was a coward because I felt fear. Courage comes in spite of fear. Fear always comes first. Then the courage comes. I had another one the other day, right? And this is something I used in my group today. You take your pain. Within that pain there's courage. There always is courage within pain and fear. There has to be. For every positive there's a negative. There has to be. When you find that courage, you use that courage. You take that courage and you take that courage and you turn it into a skill. That skill is my recovery. And that's why I'm coming up 10 years sober. And it's like people think, he's giving it the beginning. I didn't care what you think. It's the truth. It's my truth. It can be done. It's simple as that. Because like I struggle with being professional. I do. But the truth of the matter is sometimes you've just got to be totally brutally honest. And like you've got to want it. Like you've got to want it as much as you wanted that next drink or that next drug. And that's what I know it was a bit long-winded, but like that's what I would say to myself. And it is what I say to myself on a daily basis. I have to. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm responsible now, you see.
Well done.
Thank you.
That was superb, wasn't it? You're very good at what you do, mind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good at what you do.
I just appreciate the
If that doesn't inspire somebody, they're not ready.